Waiting for the battle. He had wanted several times to join the army. Tales of great movements shook the land. There seemed to be much glory in them. He had read of marches, advances, battles, and he had wanted to see it all. But his mother had prevented him from going. She looked with little favor upon the quality of his war spirit. She gave him hundreds of reasons why he was more important on the farm than on the field of battle. At last, however, he had taken a firm position. The newspapers, the talk of the village, his own imaginings had excited him to an uncontrollable degree. They were, in truth, fighting finely down there. Almost every day the newspapers talked of victory. One night, as he lay in bed, the winds had carried to him the wild ringings of the church bell, announcing the news of a great battle. This had made him tremble in excitement. Later, he had gone down to his mother's room and said, "Ma, I'm going to join the army."
"Henry, don't you be a fool,"
his mother had replied. She had covered her face with the blanket. There was no end to the matter for that night. Nevertheless, the next morning he had gone to a town nearby and had joined the regiment that was forming there.
"Ma, I've joined,"
he said to her hesitatingly as she milked a cow in the evening. There was a short silence.
"The Lord's will be done, Henry,"
she had finally replied, and had then continued to milk the cow. When he had stood in the doorway with his blue soldier's clothes on his back and with the light of excitement and expectancy in his eyes, he had seen 2 tears leaving their trails on his mother's tired face. Still, she had surprised him by saying nothing about his returning. He had privately been ready for a beautiful scene. He had prepared certain sentences which he thought could be used to produce great emotion. But she simply said,
"You be careful, Henry, and take good care of yourself. Don't think you can beat the whole rebel army at the start, because you can't. You're just one little fellow among a lot of others, and you have to keep quiet and do what they tell you."
She did not look up from the potatoes she was peeling.
"And always be careful when you choose your friends. There are lots of bad men in the army, Henry. Stay away from them, Henry. I don't want you ever to do anything, Henry, that you would be ashamed to tell me about. I don't know what else to tell you, Henry, except that you must never avoid your duty, child. If a time comes when you have to be killed or kill, Henry, don't think of anything except what's right. Don't forget your shirts, child, and try to keep warm and dry. Goodbye, Henry. Be careful, and be a good boy."
Her speech was not quite what he had expected. He departed, feeling a kind of relief. Still, when he had looked back from the gate, he had seen his mother kneeling among the potatoes. Her brown face, upraised, was marked with tears, and her body was shaking. He had lowered his head and gone ahead, feeling suddenly ashamed of his purpose. Waiting for the battle. He had wanted